Good morning, children. So today we will continue with the lesson, The Tiger King, that we have taken the other day. So before moving on with the lesson, I would like to know whether you have gone through the portion, whether you have listened carefully or not. So right now I will be unmuting a few students over here and I'll be asking questions to those, and those students alone need to answer. The others are supposed to keep quiet. I hope you can listen to me and I hope you'll obey the instructions too. So let me try with a few. Parishad, are you there? Parishad, are you there, Parishad? No. Devanki, can you hear me, Devanki? Devanki, am I audible to you? Okay, so just tell me the answer of the question. Who is the Tiger King? Just give me an answer, please. Hurry up. Okay, thank you, Devanki. Haifa, can you hear me, Haifa? Okay, just tell me why does he get the name the Tiger King? What is your idea regarding that? Okay, fine, thank you. Pranav, am I audible to you, Pranav? Pranav? Hello, Pranav? Okay, so give me the answer of this particular question. What did the royal infant grow up to be? What did the royal infant grow up to be? He grew taller and taller, stronger day by day, isn't it? And you could see the situation being created by the family. Can you just explain on that? Can you just explain the situation or else the scenario created by the family for him to grow up? Okay, I'll leave it. Sana, can you answer this question? I hope you have heard, right? Sana? The question was this, can you just answer, what did the royal infant grow up to be? The scenario or else the situation provided by the family for the tiger king to grow up. Can you just explain on that? And who was taking care of her, of him? And what about the tuitions or else the classes? Who were handling the classes for the tiger king? Okay, so altogether such a situation was provided for the tiger king to grow up, isn't it? Thank you, Sana. Neelanjana, am I audible to you, Neelanjana? Okay, so just tell me, what was the prediction made by the astrologers when this tiger king was born? Straight away he told like that? Okay, thank you, Neelanjana. Now, Amal Nauran, am I audible to you? Okay, so answer this question. What will the Maharaja, what is the plan or else what is the thing that Maharaja has done to find the required number of tigers? Okay. Maharaja, he had taken a decision to kill tigers, isn't it? To reverse the fate, isn't it? So what was the plan of him? Okay. Okay, and from where did he manage to get the tigers? Okay. Okay, thank you, Amal. Okay, so let's just have a brief idea on what all things we have done the last day. And by the way, thank you children for answering the questions. So remember, like this, I'll be asking questions in between, so please listen to the class carefully. So last day, we had discussed the first 3 parts of the lesson, isn't it? Where in the first part, we have seen who is the real hero of the story, isn't it? So that part was seen. Then, who is the real hero of the story? It is the Maharaja of Pradipantapuram. He happens to be the real hero of the story. And we have even seen his different names, the different names in which he is known, and how can he be shortened. That part also we have seen. He is often being shortened as a tiger king. So that part also we have discussed, and we have met a narrator who is actually telling us the story, and the narrator is telling that nothing can actually prevent him from telling the story. So like that goes the first part, and even one more thing is being told in the first part regarding the prediction. Regarding the prediction made by the astrologers when this crown prince was born. The prediction was this, that the child or the crown prince will die one day. So at that time, the 10-day-old Jilani Jangjang Bahadur, he commented, see, wise prophets, it will be better if you could explain me the way in which the death can happen. So it was really a very it's a great miracle that happened, because a 10-day boy, how come he spoke? That was really a thing that astonished the astrologers. And then the astrologer continued with his prediction. As per the prediction, what he says is, the prince was born in the hour of the bull. The bull and the tiger are enemies, therefore death comes from the tiger. That was the explanation provided by the astrologer. So now the prediction turned out to be having some sense or the other. Then we feel as if the crown prince might have got shocked after listening to the word tiger, but that didn't happen at all. Instead, the tiger king told, let the tigers beware. That was the reaction from the side of the 10-day-old baby. That was the first part of the lesson. Then the second part of the lesson, what we see is how he just grew up. He turned out to be taller and stronger, and the scenario created by the family is even being mentioned, how the boy drank the milk of an English cow, and how he was brought up by an English nanny, and how he was tutored by an Englishman. All these things are being mentioned. That is the beginning of the second part of the lesson. Then you could see that when people started discussing about the prediction, this Maharaja, when he turned out to be 20, the kingdom automatically came into his hands. Until then, it was taken care of by a legal body. So at that time, the Maharaja started rethinking about the prediction, how to reverse the fate. And he himself is comforting himself by telling the statement, you may kill even a cow in self-defense. Like that, in that thought, he thought of killing tigers. If he kill the tigers, then naturally the danger won't come, isn't it? So he need not face the danger, or else he can reverse the prediction as such. So in this manner, the Maharaja decided to kill. So when he killed the first tiger, as the other girl answered, when he killed the first tiger, he was so happy, and he actually showed the dead beast to the astrologer and asked him what he says now. See, so the astrologer repeated, see, you might kill 99 tigers in the way in which you have killed this tiger, but remember, you have to be really careful with the 100th tiger. So at that time, the king told, he'll be killing that tiger too. So at that time, the astrologer told, see, then I'll do one thing, I'll just stop being an astrologer, then I'll continue to work as an insurance agent. I'll be tearing all my books and will be setting fire to them, and then I'll cut off my tuft and will crop my hair short and will become an insurance agent. So like that goes the reaction of the astrologer, and this is what we have seen in the second part of the lesson. Now the third part that we have discussed, we have seen that from that particular day onwards, it was really a celebration time for the tigers who were inhabiting Pradipantapuram. So the state, what did the state, an order came up, that is, no one except the king is supposed to go for a tiger hunt. See, hunting at that time, it was really a hobby for the king, especially the crown prince of various states. It is actually their hobby, and even the Britishers, even it is their hobby too. So the Maharaja started killing different number of tigers, and as he killed each tiger, you could see that he turns out to be really happy. And don't think that it was so easy a task to kill a tiger. At times, what happens is that he is supposed to face some dangers. At times, the bullet missed its mark, then the tiger leapt upon him, and he fought the beast with his bare hands. But anyway, each time it was the Maharaja who had won. And one more obstacle came up. That also is another question answer. The obstacle that he had faced, or else explain the situation in which the Tiger King was in danger of losing his throne. So what was the situation? So the situation is, when a high-ranking British officer, when he visited Pratibandhapuram, he really wanted to go for tiger hunting, but in that particular state it is banned by anyone else other than Maharaja. And so what happened is that he requested for the permission from Maharaja, but Maharaja was not ready to accept that request at all. And the British officer, what he did was, he sent another request letter telling that what he wants is just a photograph of holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. But that request was also not accepted. Why? Because if he give permission to one person, naturally the others will also come the same way. So he was not ready to accept that request too. So naturally something or the other should be done, or else what happens is that the British officer, there is a chance that since he is irritated, maybe he will go for a war too. So to prevent that, what he did was, he had a discussion with his Diwan, his advisor Diwan, and after the discussions, what they did was, he sent a telegram to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta and collected expensive diamond rings of different designs. And he sent it to the Duraisani. Duraisani is the wife of the British officer, and there what the king and the minister expected was, she'll be selecting one or two rings of her choice and will be sending the rest back. That was what they thought, but it didn't happen. Instead, a thank you note came back, and even a bill of 3 lakhs of rupees from the company, from the British jewelers. But anyway, thank God, he was so happy that he managed the situation. So it was in. Hello? Hello? Okay, so children, remember, these are the things that we have covered the other day. I'm so happy that you have learned all these things. You have answered my questions too. Now moving on with the 4th part of the lesson. This is what we are going to deal in today. So in the other part, what we have seen is, the king has killed a different number of tigers, isn't it? So remember, his target is 100 tigers. So will the 100 tigers be available there in Pratibandhapuram? That is really a big question. So the fourth part of the lesson, the beginning itself, it is told, the Maharaja's tiger hunts continue to be highly successful. It was really successful, but within 10 years, what happened was that within 10 years, he was able to kill 70 tigers. At that time, an unforeseen hurdle means a thing or else an obstacle that he hasn't expected. That obstacle came before him, and his intention of killing tigers, it turned out to be, it couldn't work out. Why? Because after killing 70 tigers, you could see that he could not locate any more tigers in Pratibandhapuram. It seems as if the tiger population of Pratibandhapuram got extinct. And even the narrator here is trying to bring a humor. Who knows whether the tigers practiced birth control or committed harakiri? So harakiri means suicide. So whether the tiger, he's having a doubt as such. The narrator is raising a question. Maybe the tigers, they might have stopped, they might have practiced birth control. Why? Because why should they give birth to a baby? After all, the Tiger King is killing the tigers one by one. So kindly understand the humor being implied over here. The tigers might have practiced birth control, or else they might have committed harakiri. Harakiri in the sense, suicide. So they might have committed suicide too. Rather than being killed by a tiger, by the Tiger King, it is better to commit suicide. Maybe in that thought, the tigers committed suicide. And even he is raising another question too, or simply ran away from the state because they desire to be shot by the British hands alone. So maybe it is better to die from the hands of a Britisher rather than from the hands of an Indian king. Maybe in that thought, the tigers might have escaped from Pradipantapuram. So in this manner, the narrator is trying to bring out a humor over here. So remember, while answering the question, the humor or else a satire being used in the lesson, while answering that question, you have to mention this particular point too. Then, so what happened? After 70 tigers, no more tigers could be located in Pradipantapuram. So what the Maharaja did is being mentioned in the next paragraph. Maharaja, he sent for the Divan. So the Divan, he wanted to have a discussion with Divan, because the advisors, they can better advise the king regarding what to do. And 30 more tigers left, isn't it? So Divan Sahib was called in, and he was having a discussion with the Divan Sahib, and he's asking a question to Divan. Are you not aware that 30 tigers still remain to be shot down by this gun of mine? So it means that he was having a gun with him, isn't it? So he asked, but that too, he is having a gun in his hand, and he was rotating that gun. Got the idea? He was having the gun in his hand, and he was rotating the gun as if threatening him. See, don't you know that you are the person who are supposed to arrange this much number of tigers, or else you have to locate and inform me. You are the person in charge to do all these things. Are you not aware of this? Like that, he's raising a question to Divan Sahib. And after seeing the gun, what happened was that the Divan got scared. He was frightened. Maybe this king, since he's that much angry, maybe there's a chance that he can shoot the Divan too, isn't it? So he was really afraid, and he lost his sense, it seems, and he's just babbling. Your Majesty, I'm not a tiger, so please don't misunderstand. I'm not a tiger, please don't kill me. Like that, he comes up with his senseless speech, and he's continuing with the senseless speech too. And when the tiger king even asked back, which idiot is going to call you as a tiger? No one is going to call you as a tiger. I very well know that you are not a tiger. So at that time, the senseless speech of the Divan continues. I'm not a gun. Even I'm not a tiger, I'm not a gun. Like that goes on the senseless speech of the Divan. So the tiger king, what was the response from the tiger king? Let us see. So he clearly told, see, I very well know that you are not a tiger, you are not a gun. But I called you for some another reason, or else I called you to share with you something else. I have decided to get married. So to inform that thing alone, he had called the Divan. You know the idea? So I have decided to get married. But right now also the Divan hasn't come back to his senses. See the reaction of the Divan. The Divan says, Your Majesty, I have 2 wives already if I marry you. So, see, I already got married, I have got 2 wives too, then how can I marry you? In that way goes the senseless reaction of the Divan. So at that time the tiger king replied, see, who's going to marry you? What I want is a tiger. Have a look, he didn't complete. He didn't complete the sentence, and before that, the senseless talk of the Divan came, interrupted him again. Your Majesty, please think it over. Your ancestors were married to the sword. If you like, marry the gun. A tiger king is more than enough for this state. It doesn't need a tiger queen as well. So like that came the reply from the Divan. See? Your ancestors, they have attacked another state, they have conquered the state, and they have married the queen, the princess of that particular state. Like that, you can choose a princess. Like that, your ancestors chose princess. Maybe you can see as the British influences over there. Maybe you can get married to a lady from the from the family of one of the Britishers, or else. That is better rather than marrying a tigress. We already have a tiger king like you. We really don't want a tiger queen. Like that goes the reply from the side of the Divan. So Maharaja, he gave a loud crack of laughter. Why? Because he didn't mean any of these things, and he was feeling, he was laughing at the way in which the senseless speech of, the way in which the Divan came up with a senseless reply. And Maharaja continues with his speech. I'm not thinking of marrying either a tiger or a gun, but a girl from the ranks of human beings. First, you may draw up statistics of tiger populations in the different native states. Next, you may investigate if there is a girl I can marry in the royal family of a state with a large tiger population. So that was the decision taken by the king. Here also, see, have a look. There also he gives importance to his priority, isn't it? That is, what his desire is to kill 100 tigers, thereby reversing that fate, isn't it? And for that, even to get married, for that also he is giving preference to these tigers, isn't it? Rather than thinking about the quality of a princess of the native state, what he gives importance to is the tiger, state having the maximum number of tiger population. So what is the Divan supposed to do? The Divan is first supposed to draw, or else to take the number of the tiger population. That ratio should be taken of the different states, and then he has to investigate if there is a girl that he can marry in the royal family of the state, of that particular state, which is having a large tiger population. So in that also he brought in this criteria. How cruel it is, isn't it? Don't you feel so? Is this a criteria to get married? There also the selfish motive of this tiger king is being expressed. I can't agree with it. I'm not sure of yours. I think majority of you will be disagreeing with this. How can this criteria being brought out, isn't it? His selfish thought is being given more importance. So the Maharaja's decision, that maybe you can expect a question from this side. What was the decision taken by Maharaja regarding getting married? The criteria was this: the Divan is supposed to take the statistics of tiger population in different native states, and after that he is supposed to investigate if there is a girl that he can marry in the royal family of that particular state having large number of tiger population. So in that manner goes the criteria laid down by the king. And what did the Divan do? Divan, he's there as a working, or else he is supposed to listen to the orders and supposed to execute that particular order, isn't it? So what he did was he followed his order and found the right girl from a state which possessed a large number of tigers. Thank God there was such a princess of a particular state in which there were large number of tigers. So the Maharaja, or else the tiger king, he got married. He got married to that particular princess whose kingdom is having a large number of tigers. And what he did after that, let's see. Maharaja Jangjang Bahadur, he killed 5 or 6 tigers each time he visited his father-in-law. So that was the thing that he did. Whenever he visited his father-in-law's kingdom, each time he visited, he killed 5 or 6 tigers. In that manner, he was trying to complete the remaining 30 tigers. And in this manner, you could see that he killed 99 tigers. He killed 99 tigers, and the 99 tiger skins adorned the walls of the reception hall in the Pratibanthapuram palace. So like that you could see, remember the target is 100. 70 tigers he managed. 70 tigers he managed to get it from Pratibanthapuram itself, and then 29 tigers from the father-in-law's kingdom. So like that, altogether 99 tigers. Now one more tiger left to complete his goal. So will he be able to succeed in his mission of killing 900 tigers? Let's see. So that was the 4th part of the lesson. In this 4th part, what we have seen is the tiger population of Pratibanthapuram, it got extinct, isn't it? He killed 70 tigers that were available in the forest of Pradipantapuram, and after that it was really difficult for him to locate the tigers. Really difficult for him, and so what he did was he called the Diwan and told him, see, come on, I have, you are supposed to arrange 30, I'm supposed to kill 30 more tigers, and you are the one who is responsible to locate the remaining tigers for me. And for that I have got an idea too. Anyway, I have planned to get married, so there we can execute the plan. Let me include a criteria in getting married, while getting married. So what the Diwan is supposed to do is, he is supposed to take a statistics of the population, tiger population in the different native states, and after that the Diwan is supposed to investigate if there is a girl in that particular kingdom with whom he can get married to. And there, somehow or the other, thank God, he managed to find out a princess. The Diwan managed to find out a princess whose kingdom is having large number of tiger population. And the Diwan, what he did was, he followed his order, and the girl was set, and you could see he got married to. And Maharaja Jangjang Bahadur, as per his idea, whenever he visited his father-in-law's kingdom, he killed 5 or 6 tigers. Like that he could kill, or else he could manage to come across 29 tigers in the kingdom of his father-in-law. So altogether 99 tiger skins adorned the walls of the reception hall in Pradipantapuram palace. So 99 tiger, remember the way in which the British people, the Britishers, or else the royal family, how they arrange paintings and all, we have already heard about it, isn't it? You all are dealing with history lessons, so you better know, isn't it, how the paintings are being arranged, or else when after hunting, how the tiger skin is being arranged in the walls of the reception hall and palaces. We all have seen in pictures, we all have dealt with such lessons too, where we could see the tiger skins being adorned in the palaces, isn't it? So like that goes the 4th part of the lesson. Now the 5th part of the lesson. Before dealing with the 5th part, or else the last part of the lesson, you need to know a literary device. The literary device goes on like this. Dramatic irony. Do you know what dramatic irony is? Dramatic irony is a situation in which the readers share with the author the knowledge of which a character is ignorant. That is, we have different characters here in this lesson, isn't it? We have the Tiger King, we have the Diwan, like that goes the different number of characters. So these characters, they are not aware of a thing that happened in the story. But we people, the readers, the author, or else the narrator, will be knowing what all things are going on. But a particular character is not aware of this thing and is proceeding with his deeds. That situation, or else while we come across such situations in the lesson, you can say that the literary device dramatic irony is being used. So dramatic irony, remember what dramatic irony is. That is, a character will not be aware of the things that is going on all around, but the readers and the narrator share with each other what is the thing that is going on. Got the idea? That is what is dramatic irony is. So how come dramatic irony is being applied in the lesson? We'll deal in the next class. And remember the other literary devices that we have learned. The other literary devices that we have come across is satire. How a satire is being applied, how you mock at the silly deeds of the different people. How come the narrator has included, or else the writer has included it? You have seen different number of instances too. And the answer parts, the answer regarding that also we will be discussing it the next day. So now it is time, if you have got any confusions or the other, you may share it with me. So I'll be unmuting you. Remember, you're supposed to talk one by one. Neelanjana, am I audible to you? Do you have any confusions in the session that we have taken today? Okay. Anyone else? Sana, do you have any confusions? Jasmine, any confusions, dear? I can't hear you, dear. Be louder, please. It was not clear. Do one thing, you just send me the messages. Shruti, any confusions, dear? Shruti? When Shruti is not audible. Okay, children, do one thing. If you have any confusions regarding the things that you have learned today, just ask the doubt either in the WhatsApp group that we have, or else you can send your doubts personally. It's up to you. So we will continue with this lesson. We have one more section to complete that will be completed in the next English class. So children, have a nice day and thank you all for your cooperation. Once again, thank you. Have a nice day.
Well,